this video, I'd like to address the elephant in the room when it comes to camping, in that if you do research, as I did before you start, you're going to find a lot of websites saying, though technically illegal, you can camp in these certain places. Now, I did reach out to AFCD and asked if they would be involved in this episode and give me an interview to give a definitive answer of where you can and where you can't camp, but they declined. So I'm going to get into the weeds on this by my own research and try and give you what I understand from interpreting what I can find in terms of where you can and where you can't camp in Hong Kong. So let's start with the Hong Kong country parks and special areas. Now, there is a map, and I've linked it below online, that very clearly defines where these areas are. And if you are in these areas, it's actually quite simple. There is a rule, and I'm going to read it to you, that no person shall camp or erect a tent or temporary shelter within a country park or special area except in accordance with a permit in writing, which I'm presuming is something you could apply for but unlikely to obtain, or in a designated campsite. Now, there are 41 AFCD campsites which we highlight in our series. All of those fall within the country park and special areas. So those are officially the places where you can camp, but they're not exclusive, because there are two other options. That there are some campsites managed by the local culture and recreation services, the LCSD. I could actually only find the Puyo one as being specifically a campsite, though there are holiday camps where I believe camping is allowed that they also administer. You need to go onto their website, so they are also officially recognised campsites. And there are some private campsites. In fact, there's about 5 that I found, some within, some outside of the country parks and designated special areas that also have private land that you are allowed to camp on. Now, outside of those, it's very simple. You are not allowed to camp. Now, there is a slight caveat in that. When I looked at those specific campsites, I was not able to find boundaries of where you can and where you can't. Obviously, some have got very specific pitches, but there are others like Hampton, for example, which is just a long beach, and there's not a clear designated area just for camping with a boundary around it, and there are no maps that I could find online that actually define where that area is. So presume you have to be roughly within the vicinity of one of these designated campsites, on or within their pitches, or very close to it to be legal. Now, there are some very specific rules that I'm going to go in, but I want to firstly talk about outside the country parks and the special areas, because that is another area. So you'll see in the last episode we did feature 3 different campsites on 3 different islands, on Grass Island, on Potoi and on Lama Island, of places that are popular to camp. But this is when we get into a grey area where it's not clear whether it is legal or not legal. There are no specific laws about it, but there are other laws that could come into play. Now, when you're camping on government land, it's not a blanket you can camp anywhere on government land, because there are other things like public health ordinances, municipal service ordinances and land use ordinances that would restrict you from camping in those areas. So when it comes to those, it really is a case of not being clear. Unless you can find a specific sign that says no camping there, you technically should be okay. But it's up to the local authority or the local police to decide whether they're going to turn a blind eye to it or they're going to come in and move you on. As I said, I could not find specific laws that mention camping, but there are other laws that might prohibit the use of camping. We also need to talk about what we define as camping, because it is very much about tents, and it's the same within the AFCD campsites, that it does specifically say that you can only erect a tent and not any other kind of temporary structure. So if you wanted to build yourself a little shed of some kind that you wanted to sleep under, that is technically not allowed within those areas. Okay, let me just go through a few other things. There are some rules. They're pretty obvious, to be honest, and I don't think any of you would be breaking them without really thinking about it. The first is that you can only camp in designated areas. And as I have said previously, I have not been able to find a very sort of clear map of where those designated areas are. Note that there is only one AFCD campsite, the Twisk AFCD campsite, where you have to make bookings. They also have camping rental service there for camping gear. That is a very different campsite to the others. All the others, it's really just a first come, first serve basis. And you're going to find some fill up quite quickly, and others rarely have anyone camping there. So, for the rules for camping, only in the designated areas, no open fires. Now, you'll find that all of the campsites that we visited have some kind of barbecue pits or some place where you can light a fire, but you have to only use fuel that you brought in yourself. It is illegal to go and collect fuel, that is, collect wood or anything else that you want to burn from the surrounding areas to burn. So you must bring your own fuel. You can only use the provided toilets. That is, you're not allowed to go off into the woods or go off somewhere close to the campsite for your toileting. I don't want to go into too much detail on that, but some of the toilets were pretty rant. I've got to say that they were not the sort of place where you probably want to spend too much time. Others are very good, so it depends. Check the review for that one, I would do. No unauthorized structures. I've covered that also, about tents only. And then finally, leave no trace. That is, as you go, you cannot leave anything behind. There are dustbins available in some of the campsites, not all of them. If they are not there, then you're expected to pack your litter out as you leave. That's about it for actual rules. There's lots of recommendations on things like not smoking and not making a lot of noise after certain hours and looking after your children and all these kind of things. You'll find those on the AFCD campsite website, but you're going to find that's pretty clear. It's also worth mentioning the AFCD directory of campsites, because that does give you a little bit more detail that though we found not all of the information is correct, particularly when it comes to water sources, that sometimes it says there's a water source there, but we were not able to find one. So just be sure that you check our review as well as theirs if you're going through that. I think that is about it, all that we're going to cover for campsites. Please feel free to drop your comments down below. I've made it pretty clear within the reviews, if you go over them, which campsites I like and which I don't, so I'm not going to do that in this video, but I do want to push some books that we have. If you enjoy our reviews and in fact our videos, and you want to support the channel, these make fantastic gifts, Christmas gifts or other holiday gifts, or just a gift to somebody that you like, who you think you might want to would enjoy doing a bit of hiking. So we've got a biking book, we've got Hong Kong's 10 best walks, we've got 10 easy walks if you want to try and persuade somebody you think should be enjoying the hiking trails in Hong Kong and isn't. This is a great way to get into them. And we have this beautiful coffee table book of drone pictures that we've taken over the years of Hong Kong itself. They're all 180 Hong Kong dollars, and you'll find them either on our website at droneandphone.com or in all good bookshops around Hong Kong. Now we're going to start next week with a new series from Yunnan, where I will be discovering 8 trails up in the north area of Yunnan province. So stay tuned for that. As always, you're going to find all of our videos on droneandphone.com and also on our YouTube channel. For now, my name's DJ and this is Drone and Phone.